Hello YouTube. So we're into something really unique today, which, let me just get that right, we're into something absolutely amazing. It could have been a classic episode for the tripods. I have a lot to say about tripods, I really do. It's an amazing series, and I think somehow we had it took off us. We had a delight taken away. It's like getting a bike for Christmas and have it taken, and it is like having it taken away from you. I suppose it's like going on a date and failing, do you know what I mean? You're into somebody but then you can't get out with them, do you know? That moment of, you know, where you're on the verge of appreciating the final part of it, do you know what I mean? You're gonna get that moment. But luckily there is a third book which completes this. So where do we start? In 1984 the BBC commissioned John Christopher's Tripods trilogy. There is another book, there is a fourth book, which I'll go into that shortly. The Tripods were on in 1984. It sort of like replaced Doctor Who over the summer. I think Michael Grade had got in charge at BBC at the time. And it was getting the first season got 9 million viewers a week. Today, they'd be screaming for that. But back then, I think they had to get a lot more because we only had 4 channels and video. People were just getting into video at the time. The story, it's a great intro to the series. It starts off in 2089, and you think, when it starts, I remember seeing adverts for it, and it were on Radio Times and all that. I remember I got my parents to buy me Radio Times, and I had a picture of the tripod, and I sat there 5:30 Saturday night for the first episode. I'd seen a clip of somebody being picked up into this like Martian Walker thing, and I sat there, and it sort of started before, you know, the soundtrack is just amazing. It sort of started off in 2089, then you saw Horse and Cart, and you thought, what is going on here? So it was like, suddenly, then you see this big metal leg land in this like lake or a pond, and we're into this whole thing of capping and all this, and this boy called Will Parker and his cousin Henry. And they go to this secret place, like a bunker. It's an abandoned bunker from the ancestors, that's us. And they don't want to be capped because their mate, who used to go to this place with them, the people celebrate the capping ceremony. And what happens is that when they celebrate, it gets taken up into tripod, and it's different. It's like, well, they put these caps on you to get rid of your imagination, your creativity and freedom of expression. It's to really dumb you down, you know what I mean? So you worship the tripods as gods. And over 25 minutes, you go to the school. It's all like, we've gone back to really very early 19th century, Horse and Cart. There is some form of steam technology, but that's about it, and there's no cities. Like, people live in villages and little towns everywhere. All the cities have been destroyed and abandoned. I'm going to go into this, and there is this fourth book. So anyway, his mate's been affected, and they go feed the vagrants. These are people that have been screwed up because the caps haven't gone right. And one of them attacks Will Parker, and it's Ozymandias, King of Kings, has got this like watch, has this music, and you know it's him. And his mission is to go around and find like young people before the caps and recruit them to go to the White Mountains, where there's a resistance against the tripods of free men. And he sort of like, he takes Ozymandias to his bunker, and they talk about and he shows Will a pair of binoculars and says, men made these, you know, we made lots of things. We had things that could fly, and we had things that went across the ocean. We built cities and we could do incredible things, but the tripods took this from us. And then we go to school and we get this story, like a backstory about our the ancestors, us, right, were warlike, and we're gonna just, you know, we're always greedy and like selfish and just being human beings, you know, and all this, and there's technology were out of control, and then the tripods turned up and they sort of stemmed our ways, you know. And then it's about them doing a runner, and in the first season it's a boy's adventure. You remember them books you read when you were growing up, like the boys on the adventure, and they get to France, like they meet some dodgy people and all this, and there's like numerous adventures on the way to White Mountains, and there's the Black Guard. They're like the police force that work for the tripods. And they have to avoid them, they get caught, and there's like loads of stuff going on. There's 4, like when you get halfway to the first series, they end up in a chateau with this, like in France, where this rich family's a duke or something, and he falls in love with his daughter, Will falls in love with the daughter. And there's this romance there, he's going to marry her and he don't want to go to White Mountains and all this. And it gets really interesting. You think, well, suddenly we've deterred off the tripod. You sort of forget about him, but he's got a rival and he gets to choose. There's something that goes on. And the winner gets to choose who serves the tripods in the city. And he loses his beloved and all that, but everybody's capped, so they just accept it, so he leaves. 3 of them leaves. One night he's on his horse, the tripod gets him, sticks a transmitter inside him, and it's following all 3 of them, like through several episodes, but they cut the thing out and that, and put it on a horse, the tripod chases horse. And I mean, I think I'd say by like the 3rd episode at first series, we see Paris and it's been destroyed. I mean, it's still standing, but there's a lot of it destroyed. And they you know, there's like vagrants that live in the city, but they find stuff, and they end up in a tunnel in a underground train station, and there's bottles of water and machine guns and loads of grenades. It's like there was some kind of resistance back 100 years ago, 150 years ago, whatever. And he lets off this machine gun. They don't know what it is, but they find these grenades, and Henry throws one. And it explodes. There's Beanpole, he's like really intelligent, who wears glasses. He's like, you know, if he got access to technology, just pick it up and create his own stuff. He's very high, got a high intellect. He's an inventor, but of course he's trapped in the world of restriction with the tripods. And that's by the 3rd episode, we see. So you're getting a hint of, you know, what's going on. And they get near White Mountains, they get caught because this Black Guard's been following them as well. Because there's people, I think the Black Guard know about like the Freemen or the bandits and vagrants, and that people are trying to get there. So he catches them, they steal food in this town. And this is about episode 11, and this Black Guard turns up because they stayed with this other family who were good to them, and he's going to take them back to his headquarters to, you know, interrogate them. And they escape, and they get near White Mountains, the sort of up Rimmett Mountains, and there's an old quarry there with they're called Train Chemin Fer or something. I think it's French for train. And they've got these grenades, and they're pushing along on this like thing, like riding along on this trail thing down this hill, and it stops, and there's a bloody tripod right on top of them, and they're terrified. I think this might have been tripod that's been following them, but it's just up there looking around, you know. So they're underneath, and Beanpole comes up with this plan that to climb up this thing, stick one of these grenades under its foot, and collapse it. And they do it. This is where you get more of like clues of why they're here and who they are. And they let the grenade go, bang, it goes, the tripod falls to the floor, it collapses. And the door opens. I remember watching this, the door, and we're like, oh, we're going to see inside the tripod, we're going to see inside the tripod. And it opens up, but Henry throws the grenade in, But he said he saw something like a face in there. He saw something move, and it blows up. Now, when Will gets caught, right, when Will gets caught, he said the same thing, that the tripods, the carriages for something, and you don't buy it. Even then, we don't know. Well, are the aliens or is it human beings? It would have been interesting if it had been human beings doing it to their own people. That would have took this on an amazing journey. So, they get to White Mountains, they get caught, they get surrounded by these people firing, bows and arrows at them, I forgot what they're called, they're like, they're just firing bows and arrows, I forgot what crossbows, that's it, and they get caught, and these like black guards are there, and they said, oh, you're here and all this, and they start interrogating them over several days, and they break them out for him because they're so tired they've had no, and it all comes out, Emery's like, I killed the tripod and I'll do it again, and Will won't back down. And they wake up in the morning and the doors open at cell, and Will goes outside, and Beanpole as well. And there's Ozymandias, King of Kings, stood there with that music from his watch. And he's got a report on all of them. And, we have to do this to everybody who turns up on the border at White Mountains, because the tripods have been brainwashing young boys and young people, to infiltrate the White Mountains. And that's it, and then that's it. It finishes on season 1, where they've got a train inside the mountain and some form of technology, and that's what's great about this series. That first season, there's a lot to take in. I can see that some people will probably give up with this by like 6 episodes, but trust me, if you stick with it, there's 3 to 4 episodes just to entice you enough to keep you locked into the rest of the series, because you want to know who the tripods are. So we get to season 2, which is hilarious. Season 2, I don't know what they were doing with that, but it's great. This is great. So the plan is that there is some politics with Freemen. There's one guy that thinks they should attack them and get weapons of the ancients, but it won't work, proof for you to tell. Well, they won't understand the technology of, 21st century weaponry and all this. So Julius, the leader, works out that the best way to do it is infiltrate the city of gold and lead. In the first season we did get to see the city of gold and lead where they lived, the tripods. There's 3 cities on 3 continents across the planet. And they, infiltrate through the games where the tripods select new slaves for the city. But of course, to the caps, it's an honour. So anyway, there's an adventure of going there and all that, avoiding people and getting involved in stuff. But they get to the games and they win the competitions. Beanpole doesn't get through. Emery can't go. He stays back at the White Mountains. And they bring a new character in called Fritz, and he's a really good character. He's a bit of a twat at first, but as you get into the 6 episodes within the Tripod City, you sort of have a lot of time for this guy. So anyway, Will gets taken up into the tripod. I remember seeing this episode, I was about 13 or something, and when I was like, and it finished and that cool music kicked in. And the week after, we got to see inside the Tripod City, and we found the Masters and all this. They're from the planet Tryon, and they go around dominating and their view, and they conquered the Earth. But not in a way we thought they did. This is where the 4th book comes in. And now I'm going to go into the books after this. And basically, you find out who the Masters are, why they're sort of here. Now, in the TV set, there is some things altered. They added a bit more about the Tryons, the Masters, the Tripods. They added more about their culture than what you got in the book, which it's not much really, but I think it put a nice edge on the television series. There's a thing called cognoscs, the omnipotent entities that are on a universal brain. They're all connected wherever across the galaxy or whatever. in communication, and they're above the masters, but they exist on a higher plane, but they feed on energy. And one of his Will's master and him, they get summoned to this Cognos. He don't want to see the master and he can't handle it, you know. And it takes him up, and this Cognos is talking to him, playing games with Will. And he says, I know, he said, you know, and this Cognos says to him, he says, look, I'm so far beyond you and the masters, but he said, I had such disdain for your race that you came in here and did nothing about what they've done to you. And he said, then I read your mind and I found you, and there were free men and this resistance, and it impressed me. And he tells them of their plan, that in 3 years' time there's a big mothership coming, and because with Fritz, he's in slave gangs until he gets into power elite. They're the ones that run all the power in the city, and he runs about, like, because this blackguard's got it in for him, and Fritz gets into power elite because he meets somebody who came in a couple of years before with games. Now, when you're in Tripod City, if you say like you're 20, you look 60 because they're their atmosphere and all, like, you age really quick. And the masters have got such disdain for human life, they were nothing to them. You know, I mean, Will's master's fascinated by his curiosity, but when it comes to his own race, it's them. So this Cognos thing, this higher intelligence, it wants to fuck off. It's off somewhere else in galaxy to explore universe. And it speaks to him, and it tells him, it says, look, you've got a fighting chance. It's slim, but you've got a chance. With your plan, you could do it, but it's not going to be easy. So Cognos drains loads of power and ascends them to higher planes and goes off to explore the universe. And suddenly all the masters are a bit suspicious of Will, and puts him in front of all other masters, and they want to know why Cognos sound. One of them got a cap in all. So Will goes off and meets Fritz, and they make a plan to get out. And the guy who helped Fritz in the power elite, he has an heart attack, but he gives him the information. He worked out how to get out of the city through the drainage, the water system, and all the information, the drawings, the technology, all of it. Will does it. Will shares his apartment, his living quarters with another cap guy, and he grasses him up to Master, and Master's going mad with him. Will punches him, and because they've got this weak spot, they've got they're like giant octopus. They've got 3 legs and this big head, you know. It's like they're like squids, I'd say. Anyway, he smacks it one, and he knocks it out and kills it, and he has to do a runner because the other masters want hold of him because this Cognos left. It's really freaked him out. Well, this is what Coggy said to him. He said their problem is that they're not. They say the problem with the masters is that when Coggy took all the power out of the city so he could blast off into space, this entity, there was several of them all on the pool of fire that run the city, like in this supercomputer. He's part of it. He says to them, look, they're thrown into darkness for a couple of hours and they're all freaking out because they can't handle, like, they're not used to things. They're quite gullible, of the masters, like with deception and all this. This is why this cap's been put on, to stop us from doing stuff like this. Well, and after Will kills his master, he's got to get out of the city. So he pretends that because all slaves have got this place of release, you know, and they get disintegrated and they're gone. So he leaves his armband there, and they think he's killed himself. And he gets out of the city. There's a fight with Blackguard and all that. And they get out, and they end up at another. Beanpole finds him and takes his helmet off. Fritz stays behind to spy on him even more, but he gets out with the information. So they meet other people, they get caught up in a circus, and then they get away from there. But the tripods are looking for them. So I assume the tripods must have suspected something, because when Will came out of the city, there were like bodies. So that were it. So you're thinking, now where's this going to go? Now we're moving to end of season 2, and they get to White Mountains, and part of that, this place what were built, houses, it's all been destroyed, and it finished there, and that were it. So, and then we found out there were no season 3, and you know, all down to Michael Bloody Grade and the BBC bean counters, because it was cheaper to make quiz shows than finish tripods off, and they cancelled it. They cancelled it because of money. They thought it was too expensive, and it had a massive fan base. It was 9-10 million views a week, and they got rid of it, and that was it. It was finished. I remember there were no more season 3, but luckily my mother bought me the books for Christmas, all 3 books. And I got, on Christmas Day, I read The Pool of Fire. I was straight, first thing I did, I was into that book, and I just sat there all day reading. I didn't care about Christmas. I needed to know Tripods finished. And I read the book, and the book was really enjoyable because I'd seen the first 2 seasons, so I pictured it all beautifully. And the book is very good. So then I read the other books. Now, I think what the BBC did was quite spiteful, to be honest, because now Tripods was cutting edge effects. It did have a budget. They were using these. There were 2 machines in the country that could do the special effects, but they were owned by weather department, and they could only borrow them now and again. But what they did in Tripods was absolutely spectacular, especially the city. I think the Cognos scenes still hold today quite well with the computer effects. I really do think they do. And the soundtracks and all that were awesome. Now in book 3, in The Pool of Fire, it's about how they overturn the tripods. Now in book 3, just a quick summary. They've moved, the 3 men have moved somewhere else. They're planning to make a move. Will gets the plans to them, then they start working out attack. They send groups into cities and start bringing books back and learning technology. And they capture Henry's idea from, like, let's capture a tripod. They capture a tripod and capture Master and create an atmosphere for him to live in, and they're talking and communicating with him. And basically they realise that they're sort of testing drugs on him and that, but he won't touch him. But alcohol has an effect on him, and it puts them into a coma. So what happens then, they work out that they're going to infiltrate the 3 cities and go in the same way and release alcohol into the system, and that's what they do. They get into the cities. I mean, there's a lot more going on, you know, in the book, but it's just a quick sort of how they do it. And then the thing is to crack the domes of the cities. Now 2 cities get taken out, and they kill all the masters, and there's the cap slaves. And when that happens, suddenly, because there's like beams coming from cap cities, people suddenly start waking up. But there's 1 city left, and the tripods have annihilated everything around it, because they're waiting for this big ship to come. This is about a year away, you know. So the tripods are waiting for this, and so the second city, they do attack it. They use aeroplanes at first, and it don't work because the tripods EMP the aeroplanes. They're like primitive biplanes, and they crash. So they use balloons, and Henry sacrifices himself, and he goes down in a ball of fire, you know, which would have been spectacular to see this, you know, because they can't get, I don't think they can get into the 3rd city. I'm looking for, I've actually found the 3rd book, and I'm going to read it this weekend, The Pool of Fire. And that's it, they defeat him, and they're defeated. But human beings being human beings, Julius loses command at World Council, and everybody wants to go off and create their own countries again and all this. And it's, you know, human nature, so we're back to that. In the TV series, the tripods attacked us because we were on the verge of merging human brain and AI together to make us into an interstellar race. But we would have destabilised a piece of space. That's in the TV series. In the book, it's a bit different to that, you know. But I don't want to give too much away from the book. I mean, that's a bit. There's a lot more going on for these books. There's so much going on. Now we're on to the mystery. There is the 4th book, which now this is where now this could have been a classic. This is it. The Coming of the Tripods, the 1st book. In the 1st book, The Coming of the Tripods actually attack in force. A couple of them land, in Britain somewhere, and a tank squadron attacks them, but the tripods destroy the tanks. So the RAF goes in and wipes them out. The tripods destroy them. So that's it. They don't know where these machines come from, but obviously governments must know they were alien. So for quite a while nothing happens after that. But there's a tripod ship up in space, I think it's round back at the moon. They work out that through the television and internet or whatever, that there's a show called Mr. Trippy, and they start beaming signals through it. And people who are watching this show and like any form of transmission suddenly start building helmets, like primitive version of caps with big headphones. They build them, put them on, and they obey the tripods. And millions of people build these things, and they all rise up. This is what I remember of the book. And there's a big war that goes on. I think there is a nuclear strike by a submarine actually, but the tripods destroy it. They managed to launch a missile, but the submarine gets destroyed because its location is revealed. And it's army against army, but the Caps people outnumber everybody out and they attack everybody. And Switzerland is the last country to hold out, but eventually they overwhelm Switzerland. And the survivors, some people, and this about this family involved in it all. They escape into White Mountains because it's an old skiing resort, and them and other survivors decide that they're going to start resistance there, and that's how that's the first book. Now, could you imagine that the first season of Tripods, forget the White Mountains, that if we'd have gone, because this book didn't come out until a few years ago. It was good because it took him 15 years to write Tripods, you know, John Christopher. It took him a really long time. But the first book, it was done 5 or 6 years. It might have been a bit longer, but it was wrote many years after. But it's a beautiful circle. All 4 books coming of the Tripods, the White Mountains, the City of Gold and Lead, and the Pool of Fire. It's a fantastic trilogy which could be made into a spectacular TV series today if it were done properly. The first season obviously would be a bit of a come down to the first season with how it all grows, do you know what I mean? But so that'd be worth it to watch, because there is moments in the first season that keep you hooked. So to see the coming of the Tripods book done first, the White Mountains, and so on, right until the Pool of Fire, would have been awesome. Now, you could do it in films, I suppose. I know that certain companies have the rights to Tripods, and it has been looked at a couple of times. I know Disney looked at Tripods in 2005, but nothing happened. Now, what makes this TV series a classic is the 3 rules. It's got to be cancelled after a third, first or second season. It's got to gain a following, and it's got to have that potential to make it a classic. As a film, it's got to have bombed, but it does well on DVD or video, whatever, but it's got a following, but it almost touches, it could have been a classic. But that's down to you. You will choose this. Now, Tripods has had me sat on the fence over this. Tripods is a classic, but if we'd have got the 2 seasons, it would have made it, could have been a classic. Because we were denied the 3rd season, we're in that sort of zone, and it's going to be down to you what you think. To me, it is a classic, but it could have been a classic. It could have been legendary if we'd have got the final season. Do you know what I mean? Now, it never got repeated. It was released on video and we got a couple of videos, and we never got season 2. And then they released the DVD. When DVD, we got the box sets, season 1 and 2 in, and there's some great extras. I do recommend you check out the Cult of Tripods on here, on YouTube. It was a BBC thing, half an hour thing. I mean, the insanity to cancel this when our parents and everybody at the time were paying the TV licence because Michael Bloody Grade wanted to stick on more quiz shows and more of that crap. He was the one that got rid of Doctor Who as well. You remember when it were getting things like they were cutting a lot of science. This was the time when they wanted a lot of science fiction about, and Tripods were that light in the wall where we were all hooked on it every week. Who are the Tripods? Why are they here? Why have they done this to these people? You know, and for years, I mean, I did a live stream on Sunday, and everybody on the stream went on about, I said classics, TV, kids shows, sci-fi, tripods all down the stream. Everybody went on about, and it got me thinking since like Wednesday when I was last on, that tripods. And you know, I dug the books out and I started nosing through. I've watched a load of stuff on YouTube. Now the only thing that exists of season 3 is the soundtrack. They actually made the soundtrack for season 3. You know, like there's loads of music to it and themes, which is sort of interesting. So that's everything I know about tripods. Tripods could have been a classic. Please let me know your thoughts on this. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I was annoyed as well it got cancelled, and for years I've had this debate with people. But I'm going to give tripods, it could have been a classic. And it deserves to be brought back to see the spectacularness of season 3 and the prequel story. The coming of the tripods would be worth it for 4 seasons of this. Do you know what I mean? So all hail the tripods, all hail. You know, so I'll see you Sunday on the live stream. I'd like to thank Pete for doing a fantastic job of photoshopping my head on her British astronaut in space floating around like that. Thank you so much, Pete. I will be moving that to the top of my YouTube page. So guys, I know this has been a long one, and I apologise for that. So I'll be on Sunday at 7 o'clock, and if you want to talk tripods, we'll talk tripods. So guys, have a great week. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for getting me to 800 subscribers. I was really excited about that, and the person who sent me an awesome message, thank you for doing the 800 subscribers. I really do. Thank you so much. So this is episode 4 of Could Have Been a Classic. Oh God, wait till episode 5, guys. You're not going to believe what I've got planned for that. Sorry for the long video, but I'm such a fan of tripods, and we were denied something. Could have been a classic.